Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Champions Chat with moi, Alex Brasso, aka Big Chuck01, aka Chuck, whatever you want to call me. And today we will be discussing Jungle. But before we do that, I want to thank everybody for all the subs, all the follows, all the feedback, all the stuff you did to help me grow this channel. I really appreciate it. We're over 140 subs now, over 400 views on the combined videos. Got Instagram followers, I've got Twitter followers, whatever we call them. Again, thank you all so much for that. I really appreciate it. We're doing a different format today. Instead of me at the kitchen table with the phone talking on a little layout, we have the computer and the webcam here. And I think this is going to be easier because some of the feedback that I got was that some people couldn't read the cards that I was putting up, or they weren't there long enough. So by doing this, where I'm up in the corner talking and I got the screen share on for TCG1, I'll be able to blow up the cards, go over them, talk about them. And yeah, one of the things I want you guys to do is leave some comments saying which one you like more. Video 1 format, where I talk at the kitchen table and you get the full Big Chuck01 experience, or number 2, where we kind of focus more on the cards and the strategy aspect. So yeah, that's your guys' job. Let me know which one you like more, and I can adjust based on that. So here we go, right into it, Jungle. Let's gonna hop right into it because video 1 was way too long. Video 2 is not going to have that same problem. Jungle, June 16th, 1999, 64 cards, only 1 trainer card. This set was incredibly impactful on the format because it introduced a lot of new decks. It also strengthened some, it weakened some. The big thing that took the hit in this format was Haymaker. The Electabuzz Hitmonchan deck kind of just stock plummeted. We're going to go over 3 key cards that are impactful in this format. There's some other stuff like Clefable and Kangaskhan, which gives you a little extra draw. Clefable is better later on when Rocket Zapdos comes out. For now, we're going to put those cards on the back burner. The 3 immediate impact cards that we're going to talk about are going to be Wigglytuff, Scyther, and Lickitung. And let's go over them in that order. So first thing we're going to do is talk about Wigglytuff. Got this little type it in and blow it up thing going here. I like it. Wigglytuff, 80 hit points, 1 colorless Lullaby. Defending Pokemon's asleep. 3 colorless, do the wave. 10 plus 10 more for each of your benched Pokemon. So, with a full bench, you are doing 60 damage. That's very important because all of the big basic Pokemon in this format are going to have 70 hit points. 70 is the magic number, so a plus power. Do the wave with the plus power is going to knock out everything in 1 hit. Why that is such a big deal is because Scoop Up. When you're not knocking something out in 1 hit, it gives them the option to scoop it up and remove that damage, and your attack from before was essentially negated. This takes care of that. They can't hide behind Scoop Up as much when you're knocking them out in 1 hit. 80 hit points is great because it protects it against itself. Wigglytuff versus Wigglytuff, they need 2 plus powers to knock it out in 1 hit. Just a great card. We're going to see a lot of this card all the way up to Neogenesis. When Neo comes around and the baby Pokemon come around, it loses a lot of its power. But up until then, it's a very big powerhouse card that you'll see a lot of. Number 2 that we're going to look at is Scyther. Debatably the best card all the way up to Neo. And still great even in Neo. When I won the World Championships in 2002, I played multiple Scyther in my deck, all the way until when Nintendo took over. This card was in decks. Just everything about this card is perfect. 70 hit points, it's got that big basic Pokemon number, free retreat cost, fighting resistance. At this point, basically no weakness because there's not much fire in the format until Fossil comes out, and then even when Fossil comes out, all we really have is Magmar. So essentially a no weakness fighting resistance card with a colorless attack, which means it can be thrown into any deck. Any deck plays Scyther. Doesn't matter, colorless in any deck. It also has Swords Dance. So I'm going to be talking about a couple things that we missed growing up in the early 2000s. Because all the way up until Rocket and Gym, we were still playing the Hitmonchan Electabuzz Haymaker deck. And that just was not correct because there's stuff better. Sword Stance is one of the things we really overlooked. 1 grass during your next turn slash does 16 instead of 30. When you Sword Stance turn 1, the amount of pressure on your opponent is just absurd. Imagine you're playing Scyther against Scyther, and they go first, they attach a grass, and they Sword Stance. If you don't have another basic, you're immediately in danger of just losing the game. If they have double colorless and plus power, game over. They're going to knock out your lone Scyther next turn, 70 damage. So it forces them to dig. It forces them to dig for energy removal. It forces them to dig for basics. If they're getting basics, whatever basic they decide to promote against Scyther is now also in damage of that slash, under threat of that slash. It's just such a pressure building turn 1 move, Sword Stance. When they energy remove it, that threat doesn't go away. You can simply reattach the energy and Sword Stance again. Later in the game, when they burn their energy for super energy removal, you promote a Scyther and you Sword Stance. That pressure's still there. Sword Stance is a super, super good attack, and we really overlooked it. The problem with it is it forces you into grass, which there's no other good grass Pokemon. So it forces you into essentially a colorless deck. An all colorless deck with Scyther. But that's not a problem, because that is a perfectly good deck, and we're going to go over how I believe that's actually the best deck in the format in a little bit. But for now, that's enough of Scyther. Let's get to the final card that is incredibly impactful and debatably also the best card in the game for a long time, Lickitung. All right, here's Lickitung. So we talked about how Sword Stance was the most underrated attack. The most underrated Pokemon was Lickitung. We did not play this in the early 2000s, and it was a huge mistake because this card is, for all practical purposes, the best card in the game all the way until Neo. I know it's a bold statement for a 10 damage Pokemon, but it's just true. The way the meta works out, the way it just synergizes with everything. The card's just absolutely incredible, and we really did ourselves a disservice by overlooking it. 90 hit points. Doesn't get 1 KO'd by anything. Tongue Wrap, 1 colorless, 10. Flip a coin if head's paralyzed. Supersonic, 2 colorless. Flip a coin if head's confused. The big drawback, 3 retreat cost. Psychic resistance, and fighting weakness. The psychic resistance doesn't matter now, but it plays a huge role when Fossil and the promos come out because of cards like Ghastly and movie promo Mewtwo, which get big into the meta. Having that psychic resistance really shuts those decks down. Fighting weakness, annoying, but we have Scyther now. You know, if they end up jabbing against Lickitung, we have Switch and Scoop Up to simply put Scyther against Lickitung, and now we're in that overwhelmingly strong position. 90 hit points means they need plus power at some point. If they do have Hitmonchan, 2 jabs does not knock it out. 2 jabs is 40-40. So they are most likely going to be jabbing and then jabbing with a plus power for a 2-hit KO. If they are unable to pull that off, it's just Lickitung actually beats Hitmonchan. The colorless Pokemon that does 10 damage and is weak to fighting beats Hitmonchan late game. Once they're out of item finders, once they're out of plus powers, just 2 jabs doing 80 and then running into a Scoop Up, running into just like a string of heads, it just gets overwhelmed. That 10 damage, it doesn't seem like it's much, but that paralysis part, it just builds up and puts them in bad positions. Let's do like a quick example of what it might look like. Lickitung does 10 to Hitmonchan, tails. They jab you 40. Lickitung does 10 to Hitmonchan, heads. They're at 20, you're at 40. They pass. You get tails, they're at 30. Jab again. Scoop Up, promote Scyther, retreat, Lickitung. Tongue Wrap, heads, 40 and paralysis. With Scoop Up and them not being able to KO you, it's just Lickitung beats everything. It just beats everything. It crushes Electabuzz in the same manner. It crushes Scyther in the same manner. It's 3 slashes. Super energy removal with Lickitung. It's a 1 energy attack. So if they ever just get 2 energy on something, you super it with the energy off the Lickitung, and then you can just attach again and keep on tongue wrapping. If they attach a second energy and do damage to you, you can super energy removal, You can scoop up, now you're not losing energy with scoop up, promote Scyther, retreat, put Lickitung back out. It's just insanely synergetic with everything. The card is just completely, I hate to use the word broken, but I'm going to use it. The card is broken. The card is too good in this format and actually ruins this format, ruins Fossil. It's a really annoying card. We have done plenty of base and Fossil, base to jungle tournaments and base to Fossil tournaments, and it's pretty much always just a Lickitung clean sweep every single tournament. There's not really any counter to it available in this format. There's not enough cards. A standard deck is going to look like 4 Lickitung, 4 Scyther, and 3 Chansey. That's my go-to base to jungle deck. And given the trainers that exist and what the Pokemon are capable of, there's just no way to draw 6 prizes against that deck. The format's essentially solved. That Scyther, Lickitung, Chansey is the best deck in the format. And it's really hard to say that about any other format. You know, even I heard somebody talking about the most powerful decks of their era. One of them was Gardevoir Gallade. That was the top choice. There's still some debate as to if that was the best deck in the format. You know, it lost to stuff. But this Lickitung, Scyther, Chansey deck doesn't lose to anything, given the card pool. The card pool is just so small that there's just not anything that deals with this deck. So it's kind of an annoying format. A lot of the tournament matchups come down to Scyther, Lickitung, Chansey versus Scyther, Lickitung, Chansey. And I've had games that have gone 180 turns. They keep the turn counter on TCG1. I've taken pictures. I've had games against Cena. I think it went to turn 186, where it was just us trying to deck each other out with tongue wraps. And then I played maintenance and we both played last. And you just can't generate enough damage against Lickitung with 4 scoop up and 4 item finder and potentially a Pokemon Center. Pokemon Center is a trainer, in case you don't know. Pokemon Center. Remove all damage counters from all of your own Pokemon with damage counters on them, then discard all energy cards attached to those Pokemon. Again, incredible with Lickitung. It has a 1 energy attack, so if you heal it all the way and discard its 1 energy, hey, you just attach another energy and get back to tongue wrapping. There's just so many insanely good cards with Lickitung that the card is just really, really impossible to deal with. So at that, let's get into our top 5 Pokemon. First in the top 5, let's get in the top 5 Pokemon first, because the trainers are going to change a little bit based on what happened here, not based on new trainers introduced, because again, there's only one trainer in Jungle, and that's Pokeball. Flip a coin of heads, get a Pokemon from your deck. Very underwhelming. Do not play Pokeball. Jungle did not do anything for trainers. Top 5 Pokemon. Hitmonchan is going to fall all the way down to number 5. How do you go from number 1 to number 5? Simple. Scyther. Scyther just owns this card. If you ever open Scyther versus Hitmonchan, you're just in an incredible spot. It's actually very strange because there were 2 big cards that were introduced with fighting weakness. And somehow Hitmonchan went down. But that's just the way it is. That's how Scyther is. Just the presence of, if you ever get that good matchup against like the Lickitung or the Chansey, they just have scoop up. And they just scoop up into the Scyther and you're backed against the wall. You're jabbing for 0, you're special punching for 10, and you're getting hit for 2 energy 30. It's Hitmonchan is going to stay in the list because there are still so many colorless Pokemon, and there are some variations you can run. My friend James Arnold, he's won a couple of the base to Fossil tournaments with a Lickitung Hitmonchan Scyther deck, where he plays like 4 switch and 2 scoop up. And the idea is he's always trying to get out of that disadvantageous spot. When you're tongue wrapping, he's got like 6 switch cards to make it so he's able to jab. When you're walling with Scyther, he's got the stuff to get the Hitmonchan out of there and start his own tongue wraps. It's a very interesting deck. So Hitmonchan is going to stay on the list just because it is the best fighting Pokemon still, and there are a lot of things weak to fighting. Number 4 is going to be Wigglytuff. Again, 80 hit points is great. Knocks everything out in one hit, except for Lickitung, and that's the big problem. There's not much yet for Wigglytuff to do about super energy removal. Imagine you're up against a Lickitung and they tongue wrap you, they get tails, so you attach a second energy, you do the wave, 60 on the Lickitung. Well, here comes the super energy removal and a tongue wrap. You don't even have a threat to do the last 30 damage to the Lickitung. So all you can do is attach again, and once you attach again and develop that threat, now they just scoop up. They scoop up and Lickitung's back there with 90 hit points, and Wigglytuff is in the same exact dilemma. So much is just hindered by Lickitung in this format because that 90 hit points is just too good. And it's just too good with scoop up, it's too good with super energy removal. But again, you do have something that does 70 damage, so if they aren't running Lickitung, you have something that can just knock everything out in one hit, which is incredible. Number 3, Chansey. Chansey has moved up all the way to number 3. The reason this moved up is because it's just so good in the Lickitung decks. People will try and counter Lickitung by building some big Pokemon like a Wigglytuff or an Arcanine, whatever. And because Lickitung only attacks for one energy, you're going to have a lot of energy to do something else with. And there's nothing better than just building a Chansey on the bench manually. A typical game is going to look like you're tongue wrapping with one energy and just attach to Chansey, tongue wrap, attach to Chansey, tongue wrap, attach, tongue wrap. They'll super energy removal, you'll retriever, attach to Chansey. And you're just building this Chansey for eventually one-hit KOing their Lickitungs with a plus power, or just taking out a Scyther, a Wigglytuff, an Electabuzz. They will eventually do that. They'll try and build up a Wigglytuff and last you and hope that that Wigglytuff just goes through your Lickitungs, they get a couple tails. But Chansey puts an end to that. As soon as you double edge a Wigglytuff that they've been building all game, that's going to be game over for them. They're not going to be able to do too much more after that. So Chansey just is pretty much your closer once your tongue wraps are done. And it's a great card. All the way to Neo. Again, also made it to the World Championships. Number 2, Scyther. Some people will have this as number 1, and I will not knock that. But for me, it's number 2 just because Lickitung is so overwhelming. Again, you can't say anything bad about this card. It's just the perfect card. 70 hit points, free retreat cost, colorless attack, Swords Dance pressure. There's nothing bad about it. It easily could be number 1. It's a perfect card, but Lickitung exists. And for me, Lickitung is the number 1. Again, Lickitung. 90 hit points, 1 colorless, 10 paralysis, just applies pressure. They have to do something about that 10. The 10 is setting up for slashes later on. It will eventually get KOs if you run plus powers once you get them to 20 hit points left. If you paralyze that turn, it puts them in danger of just losing their Pokemon. And it's just insane with Scoop Up. It's insane with Super Energy Removal. It's insane with Pokemon Center. There's just nothing bad. There's nothing that beats this card, given the card pool. Later on, we'll get some stuff that deal with it. The big hit's going to be Neo. When Neo comes around, we have Cleffa. Cleffa just completely destroys Lickitung. You're lasting them, you're eking, and they are maybe doing 10. And that's terrible. So this will be gone by Neo, but for now, this is the king of the format. Mr. Big Lickitung. Number 1, Lickitung. Top 5 trainers are going to change ever so slightly. Number 5, energy removal. This dropped because Lickitung. Everything is about Lickitung. The entire top 5 list of Pokemon, the top 5 list of trainers is all about Lickitung. This entire format is about Lickitung. Number 5, energy removal. Still great, still makes a lot of decks unplayable, but doesn't do anything against Lickitung. Lickitung attacks for 1 energy. You remove it, they attach. Easy. Super energy removal, number 4. Again, still insanely powerful. Maybe gains some power in the sense that Wigglytuff exists now. Chansey's a lot more popular. But again, Lickitung, you know? You It only has 1 energy on it, and that's going to be what people are just attacking with constantly. So, still stays ahead of energy removal, still stays on the list, but number 4, super. Previously not on the list, and now number 3, Scoop Up. What do you know? Another card that made the list because Lickitung. When they just finally get past all those tongue wraps and get 2 slashes or get 2 thunder punches or do the wave on Lickitung, it's just devastating. It's devastating when you scoop up, promote Scyther, retreat in tongue wrap again, completely healing it. It's unbeatable. It's actually unbeatable in the format. The Lickitung scoop up combo with super doesn't lose. Unbeatable. And that's why Scoop Up is number 3. Number 2, Professor Oak. Still stays number 2. Best draw in card game history. Discard your hand and draw 7. No downside. You just play it and do it. Go through your deck. Your strategy comes to fruition. Oak, 4 of in every deck for now still. And also 4 of in every deck for now. Still number 1, Item Finder. Get back your Oaks, get back your Scoop Ups. You can do 8 Scoop Ups on a Lickitung with 4 Item Finder in your deck. It's stupid. It's impossible to draw 6 prizes against the Lickitung deck when you're scooping up and Item Findering Scoop Up and Pokemon Centering. It's just incredible. And Item Finder just gets all this stuff back. Everything that you want to do, hey, I'm doing it again 4 more times. So Item Finder stays number 1 in terms of trainer cards. All right, so there you have it. That's Jungle. That's our top 5 Pokemon list with Jungle. That's our top 5 trainer list with Jungle. Best decks. Before we talked about Haymaker, Stall, and the All-In decks. In this format, those are all gone. 1 deck, Lickitung. You can dabble in Wigglytuff. You can dabble in still Haymaker. I guess you can play the All-In decks. But imagine your All-In deck against a 90 hit point thing that's paralyzing you. It just doesn't work anymore. 4 90 hit point things that paralyze you. It would take so much to be able to all-in somebody at this point because you're just hoping they get 1 non-Lickitung basic and nothing else. Just doesn't work. This is the format of Lickitung, and we're gonna have to deal with it for a couple sets, which is unfortunate, but that's what it is. So we're gonna end the video there. Thank you all for watching. I'm glad this one was a lot shorter than the last one. Again, leave me that feedback if you like this format more or the kitchen table format more. I'm curious as to what you guys think. Again, thank you for watching. Like, sub, thumbs up, thumbs down. Do something to show me you're here. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Peace.